So, I was watching Jerry Seinfeld's show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, specifically the episode where he had President Obama on the show. And there is no question that he is by far the coolest president that has ever taken office. And they joke about this in the show.
I thought the coolest car, American made, for the coolest guy ever to hold this office.
You know what? You are winning a lot of points with me right now.
President Obama strangely has had zero scandals during his presidency. Yes, he's caused controversy, had a few language mishaps.
I've now been in 57 states.
And had to deal with one of the most obstinate Congresses in history, but no scandal. And most can agree that Obama was a very consequential president, regardless if you agree with his policies or not. Vox made a great video highlighting his career here. But this got me thinking, who is the best president? Now obviously this is opinionated, but humans get satisfaction from classifying things into specific categories, which is why we have music genres called happy hardcore and fidget house. The first result I get from straight Googling who is the best president is a bunch of rankings and top 10 lists. All of the most recent credible lists seem to come from a survey done in 2014 by the American Political Association, which ranks presidents out of 100. It's not defined what these historians and American political experts use to base their rankings off of, but we can assume a president's legacy improves in their effectiveness to handle international conflict, their term economic prosperity, and if they're re-elected. The first valid presidential ranking was done in 1948 by the famous historian Arthur M. Schlesinger for Life magazine. He invited 50 outstanding authorities in American history to rank the presidents in 5 different categories: great, near great, average, and below average. Among the great were Lincoln, Washington, Jefferson, and FDR, and these presidents have consistently stayed in the top 5 in presidential rankings since the 1948 ranking. Among the failures listed were Ulysses S. Grant and Warren G. Harding, for their terms were riddled with corruption. And it seems in 1948 the raters were conflicted over how to rate the presidents. Do we judge their leadership as commander-in-chief? Do we rate the sum of their work as president? And were the great presidents just lucky enough to have a crucial turning point during their presidency? Schlesinger came to the conclusion that these 6 great presidents were party men, as well as great executive chiefs. They would all agree that being president was preeminently a place for moral leadership. They were strong and overcame great opposition. But this is an opinion from 1948. And this begs another question. How does a president's ranking change over time? Well, over time, new information comes afloat, and sometimes reevaluation brings better clarity to an event. InsideGov took 7 rankings from Schlesinger's ranking in 1948 to the previously mentioned APS ranking in 2014. And it's fascinating to see the enormous fluctuation in the rankings of these presidents. Although ones like Washington, Lincoln, and Roosevelt stay in the top 5, presidents like Martin Van Buren ranged from 15th to 40th, and Andrew Johnson varied from 19th to 43rd. Now keep in mind there were 11 presidents added to the list between 1948 and 2014, which does greatly affect the variation, but apart from the top 5, the opinions were not consistent. The left and right do seem to be in agreement though in the top 5. In 1982, the Murray Blessing Survey asked historians if they were liberal or conservative, and the results were very consistent for the top 5. They both placed Theodore Roosevelt and Thomas Jefferson at 5 and 4, while marginally interchanging FDR, Lincoln, and Washington as the top 3. Some believe, though, that there is a left bias in these rankings and that presidents should be rated over their constitutional responsibilities, like constitutional lawyer Rob Natelson, who believes that their constitutional duties like preserving, protecting, and defending the Constitution, and conducting foreign policy and military affairs are most important. Natelson thinks that by judging the presidents on their Constitution's criteria for the job of president, we would rank some presidents much higher than they are. But I found a great contradiction in his argument. He believes that Lincoln deserves to be at the top, not for liberal activism, but for his successful efforts to take care that the laws be faithfully executed. But Lincoln very bluntly violated the First, Second, and Fifth Amendments by suspending habeas corpus, shutting down various newspapers who spoke ill about him, as well as a number of things. Now, this was during a war, so that could change things. Regardless, we will continuously rank these presidents until this democratic experiment ends. But back to the present. Where does Obama stand on the rankings? Well, some say it's quite too soon to say, and some ranked him as early as 2009 at 15th, less than a year after taking office. And accredited statisticians like Nate Silver predicts he'll be ranked 17th. Currently, it's safe to say President Obama will be around 15th to 18th, but with the amount of variation over the rankings, he could be in the top 10 in 10 years or 30th. But who cares? Let's just enjoy our last 3 months with a president who can play basketball, tell jokes, a normal dude. A dad who just happened to be elected to the most powerful position in the world.
The only problem is I didn't work in Obamacare. Usually the only reason I do these things is because I'm promoting healthcare.
Yeah, but if you want, go ahead.
No, I mean, if you don't want to sully your show.
I don't mind. I really don't mind.
With the interest of getting people with no health care signing up so that, heaven forbid something happens to them.
It's a great thing.
understand.
Please try Obamacare today.